Dear friends, today we have a unique turning point in our history to help make a significant change in our culture, community, nation, and world against racism and prejudice. As a community of followers of Jesus, we want to express our desire to be a part of that solution and to speak out together as one voice against racial bias. To those that have never experienced prejudice, we are grateful. But to those who have experienced the pain, indignation, and even loss of life because of racial bias, we hurt with you and we are sorry for your pain. We not only pray for healing, but we pray for true change. We understand that a 3-minute video will not be the solution to end racial bias. We do believe that it can be a door to open up an opportunity for all of us to begin working together for true change against racial prejudice and bias. May this video challenge us to be that change, to do what we must for that change, and to truly love our neighbor as ourselves.
And who is my neighbor? In reply, Jesus said, "A man was going down from Jerusalem when he fell into the hands of robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead."
A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he came to the place and saw him, he passed by on the other side. So too a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, he passed by on the other side.
But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, took him to an inn, and took care of him.
The next day, he took out 2 silver coins and gave them to the innkeeper. "Look after him," he said, "and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense you may have." Which of these 3 do you think was the neighbor to the man who fell in the hands of the robbers?
The expert in the law replied, "The one who had mercy on him." And Jesus told him, "Go and do likewise." And who is your neighbor?
Eric Garner is my neighbor.
Trayvon Martin is my neighbor.
Michael Brown is my neighbor.
Tamir Rice is my neighbor.
Walter Scott is my neighbor.
Stephen Taylor is my neighbor.
Philando Castile is my neighbor.
Botham Jean is my neighbor.
Tatiana Jefferson is my neighbor.
Stephon Clark is my neighbor.
Ahmaud Arbery is my neighbor.
Breonna Taylor is my neighbor.
George Floyd is my neighbor.
As the church, we stand against injustice because you are my neighbor.
As a church, we stand against racial prejudice because you are my neighbor.
As a church, we stand against hatred because you are my neighbor.
As a church, we stand for forgiveness because you are my neighbor.
As the church, we stand for healing because you are my neighbor.
As the church, we stand for truth because you are my neighbor.
As the church, we stand for peace because you are our neighbor.
As the church, we stand for love because you are my neighbor. Would you join together with us to reach out to your neighbor, listen to your neighbor, care for your neighbor, hurt with your neighbor, stand for change with your neighbor, love your neighbor as yourself, because
we are all neighbors together.